Jacoje says,
the only thing that stays consistent is the grind. Keep on grinding.
hey, what's up everybody? Very happy to be back today. Welcome back to the channel. Got a fantastic request for you guys today. Let's get right into it. Just wanted to say before we get into today's request, which is a really good request I must say, I just want to say thank you guys for supporting the Instagram. It means a lot. I'm glad that you guys who are on there are enjoying the reels. I'm glad you guys are enjoying that stuff. I just got into it myself. I'm enjoying it too. And thank you for everybody who took the time to watch that eyeglass video that I put out. I appreciate your advice, guys. You guys, if you're on this channel, you have great style. I already know that. I've heard it. I've seen it in the comments. Thank you guys for taking the time to give me your advice on how I can improve my life. For all of you who don't know, my name is Joe. I am 5'6" tall. Today I weigh 150 pounds, and we take jewelry on this channel 12 feet away to try to give you guys the best viewing distance possible when it comes to jewelry online, because this is at the end of the day gonna help you guys to make a good purchase. All right, it's really hard to make purchases online sometimes, and this channel is here to help you, so I hope it's doing that. Let me know what I can do better in the comments, or requests if you guys want. Let me know. Talk to me, guys. Let me know what you need. The other day my man Zion reached out to me. I think that's how I pronounce this gentleman's name. He reached out. He said, Joe, I need a 20-minute video, bro. I need something to relax to. I need something to chill with at the end of the day. And so what did I do? I put out a 19-minute video for my man, so I hope he appreciated. Actually, I know he appreciated it. He'll let me know in a comment. I'm grateful for that. Let's get into today's video. Jacoje says curb chains go better with curb chains, and round chains go better with round chains. Would you be able to show what a 5.5 millimeter flat curb would look like with a 3 to 4 millimeter rope stacked at the same length of 20 inches. Really interested how that would look being the two blingiest chains. All right, well guys, listen. You know if Jacoje said it, it's gotta be true, right? All right, well maybe not, maybe not. Not to say my man doesn't know what he's talking about. He's one of the biggest in the game on YouTube, right? He knows what he's talking about, and he's a fantastic dude. If anybody here has ever spoke to him, you guys know the guy's legit. He's fantastic, and he knows what he's talking about. So let's take a look at this request. We're gonna be looking today at a 5.5 millimeter curb chain stacked with not only a 3 millimeter rope chain at the same length, but also a 4 millimeter at the same length. Let's get into that request. So here we have on the hand a 5.5 millimeter rope chain. Guys, forgive me. I just got finished working out. I am all over the map right now. We have a 5.5 millimeter curb chain, flat curb. Then we have a 4 millimeter rope right here. And then we have a 3 millimeter rope right here, okay? So take a look at that difference in millimeter. There's a couple things I wanted to point out. Number one, I need a tissue. All right, so number one, we have the 5.5, which in my opinion, let me know if I'm wrong, this 5.5 is almost getting showed up by this 4 millimeter rope. Just take a look at that. Tell me if I'm wrong. Let me know. But this 5.5 millimeter is almost getting showed up by this 4 millimeter rope. That is pretty crazy. Now, when you compare the 4 millimeter rope to the 3 does look much smaller, but it still looks like it really holds its ground, especially if I take this away. If I take this away now, when you're focused on these two, now it doesn't look that small because you're not comparing it also to a 5.5 millimeter flat curb, okay? So keep this in mind, guys. Rope chains are very valuable, very valuable resource when it comes to your stacks, okay? So is the flat curb. Very valuable. These are probably, like the subscriber mentioned, these are probably the two most blingiest chains, and they're also probably two of the most valuable when it comes to cost for look when it comes to chains that are out there, okay? In my opinion. So this is what we're going to look at today. Another thing I want to mention is I just recently put out a video the other day talking about how I personally don't like to necessarily pair flat curbs with round or high chains, such as the Franco. That's the one we spoke about the other day in the video, the Franco. The reason why I don't like to do that is because when you pair them, just as you'll see here on my wrist, oh, let me just throw this on my wrist. Some of you guys might appreciate that, because I've had a couple people say, throw it on your wrist, I might want to get a bracelet. So I'll throw it on the wrist, and actually I'll keep the 5mm in the middle. If you take a look at this here, when you see this, this is how it's going to lay on the neck too. Okay, you have a huge contrast. You have a huge contrast when it comes to that high wall that the rope throws up. The rope throws up a really high wall. And when you compare that to the flat chain, I'm doing my best here, guys. There you go. When you compare that to the flat chain, that wall really stands up. And I mentioned in that video, I personally like this look, but only if the flat chain is laying on the inside of the higher chain. So whether it be a Franco or whether it be a rope chain or whatever you're looking at, I like personally, because there's no rules, right? But I personally like it. I think it looks cleaner. I think it looks like a safe look, a comfortable look when it's like that. I mean, let's look at this at the same length, and then maybe we'll put it on at a couple different lengths just to vary it up a little bit and give you guys some ideas. Alright guys, so here we have around the neck that 3mm rope chain and that 5.5mm flat curb chain, okay? Now this rope chain is actually a little bit longer, so I just tucked it back a little bit and hung it at the same exact length. As you can see guys, when you have these two chains, let me not scream in your ears, when you have these two chains hanging on top of one another, you can see here that they overlap one another, okay? It's kind of falling out of place. It might look a little bit sloppy. This is probably likely why Jacoje said flat chains go better with flat chains and round chains look better with round chains. Likely that's why. I can't speak on it for sure, but I'm just guessing because it can look a little bit sloppy. Now, does that mean that this is not the look for you? Absolutely not. When I wear two flat curbs together, for example, right, two flat chains or even two rounded chains, when I wear them together, they might overlap just a little bit sometimes, right? But there's no contrast. So here you have a contrast, right? You have a higher chain, especially at a larger millimeter with the rope. You have a huge contrast between flat and higher. So you see how this rope chain here just kind of dwarfs. I'm trying to get that camera to focus. The rope chain just dwarfs that flat chain, even though it's a smaller millimeter. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with it. And at a distance, like from about here, you might not be able to tell, especially with a 3mm rope like what we're looking at right now. But the higher the rope millimeter, the more you're going to be able to tell that there's a huge difference between these two styles. Now let's take this 12 feet away to show you what I'm talking about. From 12 feet away, it's going to look great. You won't even be able to tell there's a problem. Not that there is a problem, it's just an opinion. But again, there's a contrast. You have a high chain compared to a flat chain, and because we as human beings a lot of the time like symmetrical, that contrast throws us off, right? So let's take this 12 feet away. Give you guys a good look. You're going to see it. There's no harm in general, but the further you go, the less harm there is. If there is any harm in your mind, that harm gets taken away the further you are away from the person you're around. Now, does that mean that you can't make this look work for you? Absolutely not. You can make this look work for you. You can do that very easily by just wearing what you love. And I love the fact that a lot of the subscribers on this channel really do appreciate the fact that you got to be comfortable in what you're wearing, and you have to do what you want to do. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. But because we have this request, that's why we're doing this way. Let's throw on that 4mm to show you the huge contrast. It's going to be a much bigger contrast now with the 4mm, and you're going to be able to see it much more readily, and you might see what I'm talking about. Alright guys, so we have here the 5.5 flat and then the 4mm rope, okay? Hanging at 20 inches in length. Now you see here on the back of my neck how the rope is just kind of hanging over that flat link. It might look sloppy. May not, but if it was two flats that were overlapping, it would look much more symmetrical, much less of a chance that it would look sloppy. Right now you have the high, and I just tossed these on my neck. These things are going to fall however they want because they're at the same length. So that is kind of, I think, what Jacoje's talking about. Okay, you see over here on this side, you have the rope on the inside of the flat chain. But then when you come this way, you have the rope on the outside of the flat chain. It just overlaps. It might look sloppy. There's no telling what these chains are going to do because they're different. They're different widths. They're different, not only different widths, but different heights. The height is the really big problem. That contrast in height, okay? So let's take this 12 feet back. Take a look at this. Again, the further back you go, the better it will look because you won't be able to see that contrast in height. But the closer you get, the more you're going to be able to tell even at a smaller millimeter, but especially at a bigger millimeter like this 4mm rope is. With the 3 it wasn't too bad, but see, when I was standing at this point with the 3, you could kind of not really tell that there was kind of a quote-unquote problem. But with the 4, you can see something's going on, something's a little bit off. With a Franco, I think it's even much worse because Franco is a box. You're looking at a boxy chain with those flat edges. This, it kind of flows a little better because it's a rope chain, so it's more rounded and more of a comfortable look, and you can kind of forgive what it's doing a little bit more. But when you have that harsh look like like a Franco gives, like we mentioned in that video the other day, I think it makes it a lot harder to forgive what's happening. Again, not that there's a problem, there's no rules, but it just is what it is. Now, let me show you what I would recommend if you wanted to rock a rope with a flat link. Alright guys, now we have these 20-inch chains. All the chains we looked at today were at the 20-inch length, right? We have these 20-inch chains, but what I'm doing is I'm just shifting them on my neck to show you what I'm talking about, okay? To make it look like it's a different length. You see this here? I like this much better, much better. When you have, even if there was zero space, pretend there's zero space. When you have that higher chain around the flat link, it cradles it, and it kind of protects it from flopping all over the place. So the way you're going to be able to achieve this is by layering it. Because if they're at the same length, there's really no way you can move around freely and have them stay like this. It's not really going to happen. You would have to layer it, right? So you'd have the flat link chain at a smaller length, and then you'd have the longer length chain, the rope chain, be on the outside, and it would come down this way and it would hang out there and cradle it and it would look great. So can you wear these at the same length? Of course. Absolutely. But it might just look better than if you did that. It might just look better if you layered it or moved it around just a bit. You don't have to. No rules. It's great that everybody has their own style, but yeah, you would want to layer it just a bit. Now, how can you go about layering it if you like 20-inch chains? Because this subscriber said that they like 20-inch chains. Well, all you would have to do is you can constantly fidget and kind of, you see what I did? I kind of moved them higher up on my neck. What I like to do is when I want the appearance of a longer chain, without having a longer chain, I just throw it up a little higher on my neck. Personally, that's what I do. And every so often you kind of have to do that. But when you have a flat chain, it kind of sticks to the back, you know. And even with a rope chain, it'll kind of hang out there for the most part pretty good. But you could also buy jewelry extenders. Super simple, super cheap, super easy way to layer. And as long as you don't mind, I mean, who's going to really be looking at the back of your head often? If it's a small, you can buy a super small jewelry extender to allow your chain to just fall like this. It will be so small people won't even notice it, and it'll hang out perfectly the way you want it. You could do that. So if you like your chains at 20 inches, you can go ahead and purchase a very small jewelry extender. Super simple, easy fix to this problem, which isn't really a problem. But I hope this video was helpful to this amazing subscriber. Thank each and every one of you for everything that you do. It's much appreciated. Thank you for supporting this channel. Talk soon.